I first met Sir Richard, as he was then, in the late 80s, running up to when he and his brother David were made freemen of the city of Leicester in 1990. And what struck me then, has struck me on so many occasions since, is the intense sympathy and humanity of the man. He's a very warm person and has a deep understanding of the people around him, and of course it's something that's intensely reflected in his films, so many of them touching deep into the soul of humanity and touching it with such sympathy. I think it's also reflected in the generosity he's shown. The generosity that he's shown, particularly, of course, to Leicester. And over the years, we've seen many reflections of that. We've seen it in the way in which he's supported causes here in Leicester and supported us as a city. Embrace Arts, of course, the Richard Attenborough Centre is a very concrete product of that, and a very concrete product of his engagement in the City Challenge project in Leicester. Because when we went to him and asked for his support, for his encouragement with that project, he readily agreed not just to give that support and that encouragement, but also to be the patron of the project. And patron not just in name, but also in the way in which he engaged with the project, supported the project, encouraged the project, and helped us make such a success of it. And of course that led us together to be able to give support to what he was determined to do, which was to support the ability of those with disabilities to participate in the arts and to express themselves through the arts. And of course that's what Embrace Arts is enabling people to do, and that's down to him and to his intense commitment to the cause. I think what we've seen from somebody who came and made his home here from a very early age is an understanding of our city, a sympathy for our city, and support for our city that's absolutely unparalleled. It really is. We've seen it in the way in which he's supported causes in the city. We've seen it in ways in which he's championed the city. And we've seen it also in the way in which he's talked about our city today, and particularly the way in which he's supported and championed the city as a city of great diversity, great cultural diversity, great diversity in its peoples, great diversity in the faiths of the city, and all of those are things which, of course, are very close to his heart and very close to his sympathy for humanity. Well, of course, in Leicester, as in so many other places, he was not particularly good with people's names. And of course, we found ourselves referred to as Darling, as did so many others over the years. And we enormously warmed to him as a person, as well as, obviously, a wonderful artist, a great filmmaker, and somebody of exceptional, outstanding ability to connect with people on a one-to-one basis and with people through his enormously impressive output of films. I've got to say that I was, in preparation for this, thinking back about, well, which of his films would I actually pick out as the one that most represented the man that we've come to know and love here in Leicester. And actually I had to come to two. One, of course, Gandhi. One where he really did pour his soul into the making of the film, and one where he, I think, understood what Gandhi represented in his time and what Gandhi continues to represent today, and the making of that film and the artistry of that film and the sympathy of that film is really, truly astonishing. And the other one, very different film that I would pick out, is Shadowlands, one where, at a much more personal and intimate level, he saw into, well, frankly, into the soul, and did so in a way that was deeply moving and really very profound, and both on the grand scale of Gandhi and on the very intimate scale of Shadowlands. I think what Richard Attenborough showed was a profound and almost unique understanding of humanity and the human condition. Astonishingly, I first saw Gandhi on an aeroplane, 5 miles high, above India, of all places. And it began to roll as we joined Indian airspace to the west, and it ended as we left Indian airspace to the east. And I was aware intensely of what that film said about the vast subcontinent beneath us, and the humanity that it portrayed that was there below us, and all it said about the man that was Gandhi and the subcontinent that is India. It is astonishing, in a sense a coincidence, but it is the case that all of the values that Lord Attenborough, Richard Attenborough, has represented in his films, in his work, in his life, in his personal humanity and connection with people, are reflected in the diversity of Leicester, and the ways in which we as a city relate to each other as communities and as individuals. And we were delighted that was reflected in Richard Attenborough's endorsement of our City of Culture bid. Very much the message that we got from him was one that reflected what we're proud of in modern Leicester and what we recognise as exemplified in the humanity, the generosity, the sympathy of his life.